Okay, shall we start? Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. I'm very excited to be here. I've been waiting and planning this event for literally months. And so this is finally the day. We really have an impressive panel here tonight. I'm really humbled by my colleagues here. Well, they're not really colleagues, but I'm really happy they're all here. So I'm just going to kick it off for 10 minutes, and then we're just going to dive right in, minimize my time up here. Essentially, these are the speakers. Very pedigreed panel here at the end of the night as well. So you'll have a chance to kind of step in and ask questions. Hopefully some of you have some insightful questions you can ask. Schedule-wise, we've pushed it back just 10 minutes. Traffic was really bad today, so we've had to just stretch it out a little more. Some of the boring stuff, restrooms past the elevators, pizza's coming at the break. And if you wouldn't mind, just put your stuff in the back when you're done with your rubbish. That would help me at the end of the evening. So I'd appreciate that. There'll be some giveaways. Mr. Dave Huang got us some giveaways, so I'm very appreciative. Thank you, Dave. We'll give those away at the end of the evening. Maybe if you have a business card, we could draw some names at the end of the night. So why are we talking about robots? This is a good question. Why is this event kind of not on the Microsoft radar, really? We do have a robotics studio. They're revving it right now. So we will have like a robotics product coming up. But why is this such an interesting talk? Well, when I left to come here, I asked my boy, he said, "Where are you going, Daddy?" I said, "I'm going to go do a robotics event." And he said, "Why, Daddy? Why are you going to do that?" And it kind of forced me to think, what is interesting about robotics? And I think it's because ultimately, 70% of everyone that has a job today, maybe not this particular audience, but we're going to be displaced. So what percentage of the population was doing farming in the 1800s? 65 to 70. What's that number today? 3. Less than 1% of people are in farming. And so the same trend is happening today. So keep your friends close, keep your robots even closer, keep an eye on your job, make sure that you stay ahead of the robots. They're coming. One of the questions you might ask yourself, what is causing this revolution in robotics? And I think it's the convergence of all the technologies. Everything from cloud computing, machine learning, the myriad of sensors, the so-called Internet of Things. Back in 1986, how much did a 10 megabyte hard drive cost you? $900, $90 a megabyte. What's that number today? 0.0001. So everything, everything from CPUs, processors, the size, the speed, the cost, the bandwidth, it's all just exponentially changing. So I think this has brought about the ability for all of us here to actually get involved in robotics. Now, robotics has some negative side to it, right? We've seen things in the robotics industry kind of change the way the government is run. We've seen a lot of controversy around this. This might be something familiar to you. You can expect to see more of this. I personally rather use robotics for different purposes. Maybe that's just me, but I think there's a good side to robotics as we move forward. If you think about all the different places that you're going to see robots, Amazon now is hiring a ton of people for their warehouses, but really ultimately it's going to be done by a robot. Now, a lot of people think the robot looks like a human with 2 legs, 2 arms, but really not the case. It's not this robot walking around a warehouse with a box. It's going to be machinery like this. Farming is another industry you're going to see a lot of change in. Pharmaceuticals, getting your prescriptions, going to be automated. I'm looking for this one personally in the kitchen. It's a little out of my price range right now, but this is yet another one I think that we could all benefit from. Here's another example of the robot is not what you expect it to look like. This is the one driving a truck. So the trucking industry will also undergo a huge change. In fact, one of the speakers tonight, Dolly, he is involved in the DARPA challenge for the self-driving vehicles. He'll be able to talk to you about that. So I built the demo myself in a couple of hours using a Kinect device. You can see it here on my podium. It's called Bruno's Home Surveillance System. So if I'm out of town and I want to know what's happening inside my home, in a couple hours I took one of the Kinect demos and modified it and ran it. Basically all it does is it takes a photo every so many seconds, uploads it to the cloud. Well, before it uploads it, it adds a timestamp to the photo, makes a thumbnail out of it, and then uploads both of those. So I could just run this at my leisure, and just to give you a quick kind of show of it, here's the application. Actually, I could keep going. I think I added some slides of this. So all I did essentially is take one of the Kinect demos that ships with the SDK and modified it. I just added some functionality to it. I added some code to run a background upload of the images to the cloud, to Azure, of course. And you can see the little loop here. It's looping through a folder, looking for a Kinect photograph that might have been taken. And you can see the code here. Add a timestamp, make a thumbnail, and then upload it to the cloud. So that means anywhere with HTTP, I can go look at these. Here's the code, very brief, to add a timestamp to the image. In this case, I'm just adding the time and date. Here, I'm making a thumbnail out of it. And here is the actual project. And so if I go to, say, a browser over here, and I can just start looking at my images. This was taken at 6:31, but if I go to, say, maybe image 8, this one's 6:32. If I use this other utility to go look at all my images, here it is. You can see I've got them all uploaded here. So pretty much I can take photographs from in my house. And this is an example of where we've come in the last few years, that just an ordinary developer can pick something up and create something interesting. All I need to do is now mount that on a mobile device, and I have a garden in my house, walking around taking pictures. So with that said, one of my speakers tonight is Eddie. He's from the Kinect team. He's going to show you how to go to the next level with this. How would you add, say, infrared? How would you add motion detection? How would you add body detection to it? If you look at the democratizing technologies, what are they? What would you say two of them are? I would say Kinect is one of them, because it takes away the pain of recognizing gestures and human activity. And the other one has to do with printing. 3D printing. There's even, I've got a web page here. It shows some guy now, thinks he's James Bond. He's actually building a Aston Martin, one piece at a time with a 3D printer. So you're going to see more and more of this moving forward. In fact, maybe we'll have an event here out of the base group. How many would want to have an event just around 3D printing alone? Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty amazing technology. So I'm going to get out of the way here. Thank you for coming and for being here. I'm going to introduce my next speaker, Mr. Rich Mahoney.